So we're going to be talking about recognizing and correcting maladaptive behavior in kids, and we're going to be focusing on bullying. Now, bullying is something that, we've been dealing with for a long time now, and we're learning more and more about it. I think in this age of social media, we're starting to see a lot of things to do with bullying. Even most recently, this Mobad situation, where a lot of us didn't know who he was, but as the information is coming out, we're seeing a lot of, things that are quite distressing, even as people who are just watching and hearing about what happened. And so we need to really talk about bullying and talk about how we can stop it from a very early stage so that it doesn't get to the point where children are having to deal with bullying. And as parents and teachers, we need to understand, strategies that we can sort of adapt to help children who are being bullied and help children who are actually bullying and showing bullying behaviors as well. So I will start here. So what is bullying? What is bullying? Bullying is repeated aggressive behavior with an imbalance of power. So usually it is somebody who is quite domineering and dominating that is showing aggressive behavior towards someone who is a bit more timid or younger or just not in the same social status. And there are all sorts of bullying. We always think of bullying as the one where somebody is just, right there with you and shouting on you or beating you up. But there's verbal bullying where we're just using our words all the time. If we think about our parenting relationships with our children or a teacher relationship with our children, using words that suggest that the child is less than they are, stupid, idiot. And a lot of times children absorb this information and eventually as adults, they tend to hear those words in their minds. So you're walking around and you do something silly and you say, I'm so stupid. But where did you learn that in the first place to say that? It's usually because maybe you've heard someone call you stupid or people have used such words around you. So verbal, there's physical, where obviously there's abuse, physical abuse, relational in relationships, and then there's cyberbullying as well, which is a really big deal now because of the anonymity that comes with social media. So because people are anonymous, they feel freer to say exactly what they want to say. They know that they will get away with it, and they don't think about it deeply because, like, I'm just typing something on the internet. Surely it's not really hurting anybody. I'm just saying what I feel like saying, but it really affects children. Social media is not really supposed to be for children younger than 13 years old, and I think that this is one of the reasons why they put a restriction on the age for children who are online, because of this type of bullying that can happen as well. So how do we identify signs of bullying and signs of kids engaging in bullying? So when we start to notice these things in our children, we need to question them. We need to keep lines of communication open with our children so that we are able to quickly identify when they are experiencing changes, when things are starting to change with them. So you notice a child who was very boisterous, very happy, all of a sudden the child is quiet, sad, timid. They don't want to go to school, they don't want to go to somebody's house, they don't want to go to church, they don't want to go to a particular place. They're happy to go elsewhere, but once you call a certain place, they don't want to go there. We need to understand what the reason is why a child would not want to do that, if that was normal behavior. Unexplained injuries or damage, I hurt my hand, tomorrow you come again, I hurt my hand, what happened, I fell down, things that don't add up. Like why do they have cuts on their bodies? Why do they have bruises? What happened? We also have to notice this with nannies as well. So you have children who you've left at home and you come back home and you see bruises on their body, and then the nanny will say, oh, she fell, and then especially with children who can't speak as well. So we need to be able to identify these things. So I think as parents and as teachers, we need to be very observant. I think that's one of the traits that is very important as a parent or as a teacher to have. Frequent complaints of physical symptoms. I have a tummy ache, I don't want to go to school today, I have a headache, all those kind of things. I have a friend whose daughter just stopped wanting to go to school. And usually she loved going to school. All of a sudden, she wasn't interested in going to school anymore. And then when she would send her to school, she would go to the nurse, to the clinic, sick bay, all day, every day. Somebody that was really usually a happy child, very excited. And then we found out that she didn't like her teacher, and her teacher was, exhibiting some traits of being a bully. So she didn't want to go to school anymore. So those are the kind of things, like if she had, before she would ask her, what's going on? And she would say nothing, because obviously you don't want to report your teacher, especially if you have the kind of mom that is like, the next day she's going to be in school. You don't want that, exactly. So children are very wise as well. They try and, manage things themselves. So you need to continue asking and trying to get that information from them. So changes of eating habits, somebody who used to eat a lot doesn't want to eat anymore, or somebody who used to eat a lot, so all of a sudden she's just really like voraciously eating. Usually it's a sign of some, personal problems that they might be having, usually. Sleep disturbances, nightmares, I want to sleep with you, I don't want to sleep by myself, kind of like, or insomnia, can't go to bed, they're staying up all night. Once there's a change in their normal behavior, we need to question and ask what is going on. Social isolation, they no longer want to be friends with anybody. They're talking very timidly when they were usually very confident before. You notice changes in their behavior, that kind of thing. Then academic decline is also a sign that something may be going on. It might not be bullying, but certainly something emotional is going on that we need to check. Now, signs that your kid might be engaging in bullying. Now, sometimes it's very hard for us to believe that our children are bullies. And I think that's why we find it hard when we get to schools and there's a bullying situation and you call the parents to school and the parents are like, there's no way that my child did that, or how can you say that this is bullying, or things like that. So some of the tendencies that we may start to address in children who might start to show bullying behavior, that they have aggressive tendencies. That's my daughter. Can you close the door, please? Okay, so they might be behaving aggressively towards other children. So people come and report you all the time that he beats me, he fought me, kind of thing. You need to be able to teach your child how to manage his or her emotions. So if they're showing too much aggression, we need to figure out where that is coming from. A lot of times, children are mirroring what they see in the environment. There must be somebody around them who is aggressive. Children are not born, they're not born with all these traits, right? They learn it from somewhere. So either they're watching something that is teaching them that, or they're seeing someone physically who is doing that. So aggressive tendencies, lack of empathy is a big one. I think that in Nigeria, we really need to learn how to empathize with other people. Things are hard. Honestly, but it's funny, we empathize with some things, we don't empathize with some things. I think we're selective with our empathy. Yeah. Yes. Before the, yes. Yes. But for death, yes. Yes, we do a lot of surface. Yeah. Where have you all been?
Food. When I say food, even people that can't come, all the family, all our needs,
and nobody came.
And I was Wednesday, because but the person will be very loud on the doors. People came from UK.
Can you imagine? Yeah. So what do we celebrate? Are we celebrating life or are we celebrating death? So things like that, yeah. So we must learn to teach our children empathy from a very young age. If somebody is hurt, well, let's check her out. Is she okay? Let's get a bandage, that kind of thing, so that we mirror how we want them to behave in the future. A lot of times when it's very funny, you see a child fall and they tell us, don't look at the child, just pretend that she didn't fall. Then if you don't say anything, then she will not. That's our behavior. Yes, I mean, well, if you see Oyinbo people, oh, did you hurt yourself? What do we do? You know, I know that we can't copy everything from the West because it's not everything that they do that is good. But when it comes to that empathy, that thinking about the next person, I think that's something that we should actually emulate. And it's funny how all of us are in church and the churches are full on Sunday, but it's not exactly. So if they always get into trouble with authority figures, you know, the people who are put in charge of them, they're disrespecting them, they're not listening to them, things like that, to show that they are not at the place where they can receive sort of like instruction, and that might show that when they're with their peers, they're dominating as well, and they don't want to listen to anybody. Frequent conflicts with their peers, dominance over others, enjoying others' suffering. You know, you see somebody crying and you're laughing. That's something that we need to identify and say, this is my child, let's work on this. And I think parents need to just be truthful with themselves. We don't want to believe certain traits in our children, what they're exhibiting, but they're exhibiting them, so let's just face it head on and deal with it, rather than pretend it's not happening or say, not my child, God forbid. Exactly. We can't do that. And then they're exhibiting influence over their peers as well, where everybody is shaking for them. You know, everybody is just one person, is the Lord and Master of all his friends. And we think that is a good thing. It's not necessarily a good thing. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about why kids bully. A lot of times children are not wanting to be bullies, but there are some reasons why they might be. For example, they might have a desire to fit in and they want to be the cool kid. So if you do certain things, all the other children will like you, right? It happens sometimes like that. So the child that is the most dominating, the child that is the coolest, that has the best things, that can talk, that can insult, and all the children will be giggling and laughing with you, they think that that is attractive. Their modeling behavior that they've seen, we've talked about this already. There's a lack of supervision. And so maybe they're watching things that we don't even know that they're watching, and they're learning from that. They're seeking attention, or they're seeking power. They have a desire for attention, they have a desire for power. When they do all these things, people are respecting them, but it's not for good things, it's for negative things. They have insecurity. A lot of times, this is one of the major issues, is that they themselves are maybe coming from home. Home is not ideal. Parents are bullying them at home, beating them, and then when they come to school, that's the only place that they can exert their own power, exert their own, you know, their own power. So they kind of like dominate people, but it's mostly masking low self-esteem and feeling inferior. So they are just pretending, and then they go overboard to the other side, they lean to the opposite direction. Social and cultural norms, there are some places where it is celebrated to be a bully, and not a bully in the sense, but it's celebrated that you are more confident, you don't take any rubbish from anybody, they encourage you to speak your mind, and then, you know, it can veer to the level where you are now a bully because you're overdoing it. And then responding to past victimization. I know some people, maybe they've come from a previous school where they were bullied. So when they move to the next school, because they don't want to be bullied, they just change their whole personality and become the one that's like, nobody's going to talk down on me. So I'm going to, before anybody says 10, I will say 50. Before anybody raises hand, I've given them their own slap, so that I will not become the person that I was in the past school, exactly. And then difficulty understanding others' feelings. That's back to the empathy thing. So not even understanding that you're hurting somebody with what you're saying. A lot of people will say, that's my nature. That's just my nature, and I'm just a straightforward person. I just speak my mind, you know. And as you are doing that, you're hurting the other person. It's not always the best to just speak your mind like that. You can sandwich it, you know. You can say something positive, then say, okay, well, I didn't like this, and then sandwich it with something positive again. You don't have to just speak your mind and hurt other people's feelings just because you feel like you're a straightforward person. Then there's obviously anonymity when it comes to cyberbullying. So nobody knows what I'm doing. They don't know that I did it. The person doesn't know it's me that is saying it. Those kind of things too are part of bullying. So I don't know if you finished. I think somebody's... Are you done? Okay, all right. So we're almost done, just a few more slides. So strategies for parents, like we have discussed through this. Open communication, ensure that you are communicating with your children all the time, even if it's for 15 minutes a day. It's good to sit down with your child and just say, well, how was your day? What happened today? And then as they're talking, noticing if there's any changes in their behavior, anything that they're saying that may be seeming off a little bit. You know, we have intuition as mothers. There are no dads here, but we have intuition as mothers to know that there's what they're saying is not really adding up. I need to dig deeper and ask more questions. Empathize and validate them. So a lot of times our children don't come to us because when they come to us, we don't really validate the things that they're saying. We don't really empathize with them. We can say, maybe if say, oh my, like the lady, like the young girl whose teacher was bullying her. If she comes and she says, my teacher did this, some parents will say, you must have deserved it. And that's the truth. Say, I know you. You are very talk. So when you got there, I'm sure you were talking, and that's the reason why she twisted your mouth. You understand? So if she twists my mouth tomorrow, so if she twists my mouth tomorrow and I come, I won't tell you now because I know that there's nothing you're going to do about it anyway. So there must be a balance between us supporting our children, encouraging them, validating their feelings so that we can understand. Exactly. For example, I was in my cousin's house the other day and her daughter came home and her daughter said she didn't have lunch. So immediately the parents, they just got their phone. Daddy got his phone here, the mommy got her phone because they give them school lunch. And started furiously messaging the teacher that how can the child not have lunch and what was she doing while the child didn't have. So I said, you guys pause before you send this thing. Ask this girl again, question her well so that you know what's happening. So when she saw that her parents jumped into action like that, she said, wait. And she's like 5 or 6. Wait. And they told us to get our lunch, but I was still doing my work. And then, so by the time they called the teacher said, when they go into a big refectory for lunch, so when they go, they have the lunch, they have ice cream after. So when the teacher came in from her office, the daughter was having ice cream. So in the teacher's mind, she had eaten, but she didn't finish on time. When she got there, she saw the ice cream and wanted ice cream. So she went straight for the ice cream and was not interested in the lunch. So by the time she finished the ice cream, lunch was over. It's time for everybody to go back to class. So imagine if they had gone there and really fought the teacher. You know, it was partly not her fault. She could have also confirmed that, okay, this ice cream that you're eating, have you had your lunch kind of thing? Because they are 5 years and 6 years old. So you know sometimes they get up to all these tricks. So you have to confirm as well. But it was nobody's fault really. And so you can't really fight the teacher like that. So we have to think about things like that too as well. So empathize and validate them, but also make sure that you are communicating and understanding what you're empathizing and validating. Document incidents so that you have a paper trail of, okay, this happened, and it's starting to look like a pattern. So I need to discuss with the school what is going on. Contact and collaborate with the school. The school is always happy to collaborate with you. They might not have the necessary means to deal with the issue, but together I think that parents and teachers and the school can come to a conclusion on how to solve the problem. Teach them coping skills. So we teach our children to be able to cope because in this world they're going to face many bullies. That's just the truth. So you solve one problem, another problem is waiting for them ahead of time. So teach them. I think a lot of times bullies are able to pick out certain traits inside children that they bully because you notice that it's not all children that get bullied. So some that are getting bullied is probably because of something that they've seen within them. Maybe a lack of confidence, maybe you're not speaking up for themselves. Sometimes if a bully approaches you, the first time you deal with him, he will not come back again. But sometimes because of the response to the bully knows that I can come back for this child several times. So also teaching them how to respond and how to deal with people that come and behave like this as well. And then for children who are really battered and damaged, who are really experiencing a tough time, seek professional help. I know that in Nigeria, we don't really like talking to other people about things, outsiders, but it might be important and it helps sometimes if they're able to speak to somebody who is not their parents. Things are changing. It is nice, it is important. Yes, it's important. And then for teachers, create a safe environment in school. Talk about bullying a lot. It should not be something that is a secret. So when you open it out and it's happening, the children are able to identify, oh, this is what this person is doing. This is what our teacher said is bullying. So we're going to go and tell our teacher that this is what happened. Open and safe environment for them to be able to discuss, come to you, tell you things. Educate them about bullying and monitor the behavior in the classroom. What we're there to do is to observe what is happening with the children. So once you observe little squabbles here and there, this one is not talking to this one, that one is not talking to this one, let's discuss and talk about it. Then implement anti-bullying programs. A lot of schools have anti-bullying programs. They have posters, campaigns, and there are a lot of resources that we can go to online where we can print some of these posters and campaigns and things that we can do with our children in school to talk about bullying. Then teach and model conflict behavior. My children in my school are like 0 to 5, like I said, but sometimes we sit with them and another teacher will sit with me, for example, and hits me maybe. And then I'll say, oh, you hit me, why did you do that? And then she'll say, because you took my book. And I'll say, oh, but you didn't need to, we'll act out the scenario so that when it happens to them, they have a coping way of doing it exactly. So sometimes, depending on the age group, you show them exactly how to deal with conflicts and things like that, Especially at that age, you start to hear them saying, I will not invite you for my birthday. I'm going to be 5 in December. I won't invite you for my birthday, So you call them and say, that's not nice. If you're going to invite the whole class and you're saying you're not going to invite her for your birthday because she did something little, so you have a discussion with them as to what is nice, what is not nice, mean words, kind words, things like that. And then support targets of bullying. A lot of times we ignore the people who have been bullied and focus on the bullies. Yes. And then we don't really take into account the emotions of those who have been bullied. They need support as well. And then there should be consequences for bullying. I think that's another place where we fail. A lot of bullies don't really get the consequences that they need, and so they continue to behave in that manner. So those are some things that we can take away with us today. And finally, I found a few resources online. Unfortunately, no Nigerian resources, but they're all addressing the same issue. So we can take them and we can filter them for our own environment. So you can take a screenshot or grab a screenshot for some of the pages that you can go to that talk about bullying and how we can address it in our society and in our homes and in our schools. All right. I'm not sure we have much time, but maybe if we have any questions or any points that we also want to make, has everybody got some copy?
I like to maybe say contribution.
Okay.
Just before you took us to like the position of the child.
Yes. Yes.
Because most times as parents, we normally just think of like protective intuition, which is somebody is bullying my child, not taking a stance on seeing traits or tendencies.
Yes.
Your child would actually be the one going out there
and bullying.
So, like, I really appreciate
can I give you my phone?
The two extremes, because
Somebody
obviously
do
the
a
child
video,
bullied
just a short
was
video,
actually
thank
born
you.
from a parent too. A child as a bully is actually birthed by a parent.
Yes. Sorry, say it again.
So a child that is a bully
Yes.
is actually birthed by a parent.
Yes, yes,
a parent
yes.
has a parent and a home that has as good home as what you
Yes,
model to your children.
yes,
So I
yes.
really appreciate the two extremes, because
Yes.
most of the time it would have just been about
Bullying, yes. The bully, the person that is bullying as well, exactly. It's important.
Another thing I sense is, one of the highlights there is we as parents, we do not at times make, let's say, if you happen to be my sister, for instance, and you happen to be around my home, and I give the child like a pointer that this is an authority, over
yes,
as
yes.
a child. What it means that in case I'm not in, you can delegate.
Yes.
Like a trusted person.
Yes.
At times as parents, I want to be
the only person that can control my child.
Every time, like my mommy covers,
yes.
my mommy covers.
Yes.
And the child, even may not even respect
the other people that you put over them. Yes.
My mommy covers.
Yes.
So some children have tendencies of, doing this, running back.
Yes, yes. It's important, yes, that they understand that in this setting, this is the authority. In school, your teacher is your authority, so you must listen to your teacher as well. Yeah, some children don't listen to anybody. They'll tell you, I'll go and call my mommy, I'll go and call my daddy. You know, that they've given them that authority that they can talk to anybody, and usually they will come and they will support them. So it's important that we are able to balance things out as well.
The thing is, sometimes it's actually parents that teach their children to do.
Yeah.
I've heard of situations, particular situation where a student in a secondary school here on the island actually slapped the teacher.
Wow.
Yes, and told the teacher that his father is the PTA whatever chairman.
Wow.
So my father pays
your salary.
You can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
In such situations, if a child of a parent has the nerve to slap his teacher in secondary school, I don't know what's happening at home. I don't know what's happening at home, that a child will have the audacity to slap a teacher.
Yeah. You see, the issue with this.
I agree with him and not the job.
No, you see, the issue with this.
Somebody needs to teach.
The issue with this is that eventually you will find that down the line you are dealing with somebody who you cannot handle anymore, even as a parent. So let me end so that then we can continue discussion until the next person comes. But thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. You listened, you interacted. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Enimien is an accomplished educator, the visionary founder of Arcadia School, and a dynamic serial entrepreneur. With a profound dedication of revolutionizing education, Enimien has established Arcadia School as a beacon of innovation and academic excellence. With a passion for nurturing future leaders, she brings a wealth of experience in progressive education and entrepreneurial endeavors.